Hi, I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. Oh God, I have to say that every time because people say, "What direction are you going in?" Anyway, my guest is the guest we have every January, the wonderful psychic Akashic record reader, tarot reader, Ms. Sylvia Chappell, who is going to. What is it you're going to do?
Well, I was thinking about the fact that we've just entered 2025, and to ask the record keepers, the Akashic record keepers, about how we can bring about more community and unity. That was my thought, and they confirmed that that would be something that would be beneficial for those who are watching the show or choose to listen.
And how would we do that?
Well, we're going to do that a couple of ways. The main one is something unique that I do with my Akashic Records readings, and that is that I'll be playing an instrument, a crystal harp, and the frequencies will be those that are the Akashic Record keepers will be guiding me to. Mm-hmm. And I have two segments that I intend. And the first one has to do with creating harmony in the mental. And as I said, this is based on the fact that the more harmonious we are within, for example, in the mind, if we're creating with a balanced intellect and intuitive. Right. We're not all in the left brain, we're not all in the right brain, and that we're also aware or conscious of what we're creating, and that so that there's none of the, or what we want to avoid is where there's subconscious programming, regardless of where it's from, whether it could be from past lives, it can be from this life, it can be from generational trauma.
It can even be from television or the media, trying to subliminal perception, for example. Buy this product. And the next day you're at the market and you think, I'm going to buy that product.
Yes, yes. So that would be my intention there. And there's also, since you mentioned that there is a lot of programming and a lot of messages, just that we're all aware at this time of transition, that there are a lot of messages of division. And we're not here to judge those or say that they're good or bad, but just to look at how we can create within us the frequency of unity within, so that we're not at war of subconscious and conscious mind, left brain, right brain, intellect, intuitive. We're not falling for those. We're creating.
Well,
ourselves.
Now have you noticed that people who specialize in the intellect tend to denigrate those who are intuitive? Oh, that mumbo jumbo, that's ridiculous. And I myself have lost friends because I'm really into psychic stuff. And they, oh, what happened to you? Oh, you're gone crazy. That's silly. That doesn't mean anything,
Yes, you're in woo-woo land.
Exactly.
Yes, I kind of say, yes, I am in woo-woo land. I didn't start out that way in my career.
We're proud residents of woo-woo land.
Yes. However, what I would say is that often the critic, the harshest critic, is within us. And it comes from those messages of saying, oh, you can't be too dreamy, you can't follow your heart is a big one. Like there's a lot of conditioning, whether it's this life or generational or the belief you cannot follow your heart. You need to just do what makes common sense and stick with that and what we've always done. And anyone who tells you something different, just tell them they're crazy.
Well, they think those of us into metaphysics are crazy. I mean, they think we're insane.
I know, but there are enough of us that we're shifting the collective consciousness. Yes. And those watching who are receptive have the opportunity to continue to shift the collective consciousness.
Well, just remember 30, 40 years ago, I mean, reincarnation was such an out there concept to most people, not to us. But today, you know, the most hard-nosed people say, oh, I must have done this in a previous life. It's my karma. So, you know.
Yes, and you see yoga studios just about in every small town and county. It's a rural county where I grew up. And so there's a lot of openness. I think that we've benefited from just exploring a little more about beliefs of how our body, mind, and spirit all work together or don't work together. And we have the opportunity to take responsibility for what's within our domain, our consciousness.
Bottom line, the only person you can control is yourself. So you
Basically.
should, you know, not worry about what others are doing. Now, regarding a victim mentality, women are, in effect, brutalized by the patriarchy. Being a woman, you know this. People of color, LGBTQ folk. Don't you think that sometimes a victim mentality or identity politics can be a good thing? Because without a victim mentality, there would have been no women's movement, first wave or second wave, because women were and are victims. I mean, you know, they just being a woman. You know?
Yes. So the way that would come through to me would be that some clients that I do readings for have a history of trying to liberate. They're liberators. That's their soul's purpose. However, one of the interesting things about when you open it up, not just to this particular timeline, but when you open up the whole of the consciousness to the idea that there is generational trauma, there are generational belief systems that imprint on our DNA. It's part of what we inherit. And for those who believe in past lives, I do, because it seems it's the fact that is presented from the Akashic records, that there are, what we have suppressed are times when we tried to liberate and there's some trauma around it. Or we were on the other side, because usually across hundreds of generations, there will be families or branches of the family that are on a different side and believe passionately about and will defend it and have even gone to war over it.
I am very progressive, and I have relatives on my father's family in the South who are quite not progressive. They are, I hesitate to say proud boys or oath keepers, but you never know, you know? They're very, and I don't speak to them, and they don't. I'm half Spanish, and my father's family despised my mother for being all Spanish, and one of my father's sisters called my mother a spick to her face before they were married, but my mother let it go.
That's really
And they
harsh.
despise me not for being transgender, for being half Latin. How do you like that?
And that's one of the wonderful things about you, right?
Whether it is or it isn't, it just is.
Yes. So,
But you know, you're from Virginia. You know how people in some places see "quote unquote" foreigners. You know.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I have experience of growing up in a segregated society and being fortunate enough to be at a time when that was all crumbling and just being recognized for the harm that it was doing.
Yeah.
And I feel very proud of that. And what I was saying about what we inherit from our families, we might have inherited from one side of the family the fact that they were on one side of whether it's the Civil War, and from another side of the family, the other side, or being someone who was enslaved.
Yeah, that's very sad.
Or someone who was a slave owner. And so it's what I'm seeking to do.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, let's say someone's family had a plantation and they lost it during the Civil War, and that person is very progressive, you know, all across the board, wants everyone to be happy. Would people who owned a plantation before the Civil War, the American Civil War, they would not have considered themselves evil. They would have rationalized it, just as that politician a few years ago said, quote unquote, slaves were better off as slaves or something like that.
Wow.
And that was outrageous and
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
But people do rationalize these things.
Yes. Well, what I want to focus on here is what we have within ourselves, where we have different belief systems or we have trauma that we've inherited
But hasn't
that's
everyone?
not resolved.
Isn't
Yes.
that everyone?
Yes. Yes. So this is an opportunity to look at to go beyond that particular issue and just look at, spanning so many generations, where there's been trauma and where there's been the people who are liberators.
Well, what can we do about trauma that happened to our ancestors?
Well, we carry the imprint. That's important to recognize. There are studies that show that trauma is transmitted in the generations.
Are you saying that we can get over trauma that happened to, say, our grandfathers or something?
Well, if we have the imprint in our bodies, in our field of consciousness,
Right.
our bodies, what we think and what we feel has an impact on our physical bodies. We have the opportunity to heal it. That's why I do all these Akashic Records readings.
And that will heal it?
If it's accepted by, if there's the intent of the person that I'm doing the reading for,
Mm-hmm.
and they make the free will choice, then yes. I mean, that's what I hear back is sometimes it's trauma they weren't even aware
All right,
of.
if your grandfather played around on your grandmother and your grandmother knew it and got really hurt by it, and you have that in your soul, you can get over that?
Well, wouldn't I want to? Sure.
Okay.
It's in my soul. It's in my field of consciousness. So,
All right.
So we're...
Here's something. My mother's family was from Spain and they had some money, and my father's family was from the South and they had no money. So, I mean, since the Civil War, they had no money. So what does that mean? I mean, I have this push me, pull you thing?
I would have to do a reading for you individually, and I have done a few readings, and we've
And I'm
cleared,
very happy.
cleared
You
something,
cured my lower backache.
cured something from ancient Rome.
Yes.
So, you're the example that I would say. But for now, what I'd like to do is just invite everyone to listen to
I think we should.
some of this crystal harp here.
What does a crystal harp do exactly?
Well, it makes celestial music and tones, and the crystal kingdom has already ascended to higher realms
What
of
is the
consciousness.
crystal kingdom?
The consciousness of crystals, all of the crystals in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of like, I don't know if oversoul is the correct term, but there's a consciousness about crystal and their role in on the earth and the earth's ascension and the earth's evolution and development and our consciousness evolution and development. So I feel like when I play, I feel that the crystals are very happy to be helping us.
Is everything sentient on some level?
I believe so.
Okay, good.
Even artificial intelligence can be sentient, but it doesn't have a soul.
No.
But that's another.
Well, let's hear
discussion.
some lovely celestial
So
music.
what this is the intent here, and I'm being guided by the Akashic record keepers, and the intent is to bring harmony to the mind within the divisions that we talked about, that they can be at war with each other.
Right.
And it makes it harder for us to create. If we're thinking of, we want to create something in our lives, if we put the energy, the unified, cohesive energy of our intellect and our intuition, and put that together, we're using what I call the whole-brained approach. So think of it as an experiment and see what happens.
Well, that certainly raised the vibration. What are you channeling that from a higher realm?
I believe, yes, that I am, because I don't have much musical training.
And what is that doing?
Well, it's carrying,
the music. What is that doing?
it would be carrying the frequency of harmony and harmony within. And I'm getting this impression of our left brain and right brain shaking hands and just deciding that instead of trying to fight each other or feeling, sometimes the logical mind will bully the intuitive. I'm sure you can think of times like that. That's usually the way it goes, because in the society we are overbalanced towards the intuitive. I mean, towards the intellect.
Right, and
yeah.
we consider the intuitive mumbo jumbo and woo woo.
Yeah, some do, but then there are those who are more in touch, I think, maybe who have more of the indigenous people's background and are very aware of things like drumming and music and dance and movement.
But that, of course, is considered, uncivilized.
Well, it was at one time, but to me, it's just, first time I started to hearing African drums and dance, there's part of me that felt moved by that.
Don't you think you may have been African in other lives?
I don't know. I have no idea. But there are a lot of different things that I learned, have experienced or found out about in different cultures that do resonate with me. And some things in my own culture that I was raised in that don't resonate with me. So I don't know, maybe, I'm open to exploring.
When you go home to Virginia, do your brothers think that you are too esoteric for comfort? She went to New York and she went crazy and became a psychic.
Well, they think it's just going to New York and wanting to live in New York makes me the crazy one in the family.
My father was in the same boat.
Yeah, but no, I think that they're very, they're also open somewhat, not as much as we are, but they're open to it. And one of my brothers did say, "Well, I'm not sure what you're doing, but if you think it's good, then it must be good."
Well, that's a great.
So I thought that was really lovely.
It really is.
So I've seen that it's with me and family and friends that it's really possible to expand our horizons and open our minds and open our hearts.
Can we have another rendition?
Yes, and that's going to be the heart opening thing.
Okay.
And it's going to be, the heart doesn't, just thinking of the heart as if it had two sides, as it sort of does. And that one side has to do more with receiving love and the other with giving love. So we could have blockages in whether we're able to give or receive love that we've inherited or from the past. Okay, so we'll play that now.
Lovely. And that did what? It united the impulse to love with the need to be loved.
And bringing it more into harmony and balance, because there are a lot of messages that are, whether it's inherited or past life or this timeline, I'm not lovable.
Well, everyone is taught that in every civilization.
Just
Just being toilet trained teaches you what a disgusting little person you are, you know that.
Okay. Well, and this is the opportunity to release that and just bring.
But don't crap in the streets, whatever you do.
Exactly. But release the trauma and the judgment and the negative feeling.
There has to be some negativity or civilization wouldn't work. It's wrong to kill, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to, and you're a bad person if you do these things. So, I mean, you know, there has to be a balance between the negative and the positive, don't you think?
Well, the
We're almost out
negative,
of time.
yeah. Well, I would say
People have to have
that-
a sense of shame, or, you know, civilization won't work.
or know that there are consequences for doing things that harm other people. Yes,
Or
I
even
would say,
themselves.
yeah. But then also to be able to accept forgiveness and recognize when someone has done something that's
How
wrong.
can people contact you?
Okay. Well, my website is sylviachappell.net, SylviaChappell.net, and then my email is info@sylviachappell.net.
Okay, that's probably the best way to info@sylviachappell.net.
Yes, that would be the best. And then, of course, that information and more information is on my website.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And people can book sessions with you for a variety of things, a tarot reading or an Akashic record reading or some other something.
yes, and I feel very blessed to be able to do this work.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and you were a writer for many years.
I was an advertising writer, so I'm taken communications into a whole nother dimension, but it's still communications.
Yes. You wrote copy for Clinique, I believe.
Yes, that was one of my
How
clients, and so, yes, so.
Yes. Okay, my guest has been the brilliant psychic and Akashic record reader, Ms. Sylvia Chappell, whom you can contact at sylviachappell.net.
Yes,
Chappell with 2 P's.
2 P's and 2 L's.
2 P's and 2 L's. Okay, sounds like a vegetable. I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Hey, even if no one else loves you, I love you, and hopefully the Akashic record keepers love you, and I'm sure they do. Whatever you are, whatever you've done, they love you. Unconditional love. I will see you next time. I love you. Take good care of yourselves, and Happy New Year!